Khilji dynasty is proud to present The Triumph and Tragedy of Pakistan and India. Independence has happened all throughout history. It has been won in many different ways. Some countries gain independence in wars, such as the American Revolution, while other countries try nonviolent approaches. Independence is a great thing. It gives you a feeling of a fresh new start and a sense of pride for your country. India felt proud of themselves when they finally achieved complete independence from the British Raj after a near grueling century of unfair acts and cruel treatment. The first act that leads towards India's complete independence was the Sepoy Rebellion. This conflict was caused because the Sepoy soldiers felt that the British were forcing Christianity upon them. The main cause, though, was the ethnic gulf between the British officers and their Indian troops. There had always been problems with the disrespect the British gave, but the biggest blow was that the British had started to issue new bullets that had cow and pig fat on them, which insulted both Hindus and Muslims. By 1942, Indians were divided over World War II. The British had entered India into the war without India's consent. Some wanted to support the British during the Battle of Britain, hoping for independence, while others were enraged by the British disregard for Indian civil rights. Finally, on July 1942, the Indian National Congress had passed a resolution demanding complete independence from Britain or massive civil disobedience would be launched. Mahatma Gandhi was the main leader in the civil disobedience and nonviolent protests that seemed to be the most important in India's independence. The program Quit India that Gandhi was a part of became the most forceful movement in the history of the struggle, with mass arrests and terrible violence. Thousands of freedom fighters were killed by police fire, while hundreds of thousands were arrested. Gandhi and the entire Congress Working Committee were arrested in Bombay by the British on August 9, 1942. Mahatma Gandhi explains his philosophy and theories in his autobiography, The Story of My Experiments with Truth. One quote that was directly applied to India's complete independence is, "When I despair, I remember that all through history the way of truth and love has always won. There have been tyrants and murderers, and for a long time they seem invincible, but in the end they always fall. Think of this always." Although Quit India achieved its main objective, the horrible suppression of the movement brought order to India by the end of 1943. At the end of World War II, the British decided that the power would be transferred to India's hands. Gandhi then called out the struggle, and around 100,000 prisoners were released. India was an independent country now, and many Hindus and Muslims were happy. Mahatma Gandhi had led India to independence with his non-violent principles. The religion that Mahatma Gandhi practiced and the majority of India practices is Hinduism. Gandhi's faith for Hinduism was very strong. He had the following to say about the religion. "Hinduism, as I know, it entirely satisfies my soul, fills my whole being. When doubts haunt me, when disappointments stare me in the face, and when I see not one ray of light on the horizon, I turn to the Bhagavad Gita and find a verse to comfort me, and I immediately begin to smile in the midst of overwhelming sorrow. My life has been full of tragedies, and if they have not left any visible effect on me, I owe it to the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita." The other religion that was practiced in India at the time was Islam. Islam is a monotheistic religion originating with the teachings of Prophet Muhammad, a 7th century Arab that was religious and a political figure. At the time in India, there was tension rising between Hindus and Muslims because of difference in religion. Gandhi tried to build unity between Muslims and Hindus by encouraging Islam. One important quote that Gandhi said was, "The sayings of Muhammad are a treasure of wisdom, not only for Muslims, but for all mankind." Muhammad Ali Jinnah rose in the Indian National Congress expanding ideas of Hindu-Muslim unity with Gandhi. Differences with Gandhi later on led Jinnah to retire from the Indian National Congress and take charge of the Muslim League. He proposed a constitutional reform plan to protect the political rights of Muslims in a self-governing India. His ideas failed and caused the Muslim League to break apart. Jinnah then lived in London for many years until Muslim leaders persuaded him to come back and continue his plan. Jinnah decided to build an independent country for Muslims. The Muslim League won most Muslim seats in the elections of 1946, and Jinnah launched a direct action campaign that involved strikes and protests to achieve Pakistan. These acts, however, formed into violence all across India. The conflict between the Indian National Congress and the Muslim League influenced both parties and the British to agree on a partition. As Governor General of Pakistan, Jinnah led efforts to build Pakistan into a successful independent country. After Pakistan was formed, there was triumph in the air for Muslims, but for only a short while. Disputes arose between India and Pakistan over the land Kashmir. Both countries had different reasons for the ownership of the land. The Pakistani claim is that since the majority of the Kashmiri population is Muslim, the state should have been given to Pakistan. India claims that the King of Kashmir moved the land to India due to the pressure of Pakistani tribes and troops. After much tension, Pakistan and India finally went into war over Kashmir. Both countries fought 3 separate wars against each other. Each war resulted in bloodshed and tragedy. The first Kashmir War was a major advantage for Pakistan because of the liberated militia from Kashmir that supported Pakistan. The border patrol around Kashmir was thinly covered, so full-scale invasions from Pakistan were easy. The other big advantage was that the British officers might have helped the Pakistanis plan the militia attacks. The invasions, though, were not enough for India, and after pointless battles on the borderline, a ceasefire was called on December 31st, 1948. After the ceasefire, India acquired 2/3 of Kashmiri land, while Pakistan only acquired 1/3. The number of casualties were 2,000 from both sides. The Second Kashmir War began after Pakistan's Operation Gibraltar, which was designed to invade Kashmir, failed. Most of the war was fought by the country's land forces in the region of Kashmir and along the international border. The war started when India's forces crossed the ceasefire line and launched an attack on Pakistan's side of Kashmir on August 15, 1965. The war lasted 5 weeks and it ended in a United Nations treaty. It is unclear who had won the war, but historians believe that India had the upper hand in this war. The last Kashmir War, or the Kargil War, took place between May and July 1999 in the Kargil district of Kashmir. This cause of the war was the invasion of Pakistani soldiers and Kashmiri militants into India's side. This war involved high-level warfare in a mountainous terrain and posed problems from both sides. The conflict led to high tension between the two nations and increased spending on the part of India. In Pakistan, the aftermath caused instability to the government and the economy, and on October 12, 1999, a coup d'etat by the military placed Army Chief Pervez Musharraf in power. The Kashmir Wars furthered the many opinions of other nations. The United States, who were allies with both countries before the Kashmir War of 1965, cut off supplies to both nations in fear of an escalating nuclear war. Pakistan was criticized by the international community for allowing its forces and militia to cross the line of control, while India's restraint for not crossing the line of control was applauded. The Kargil War was significant for the mass media in both nations. The media all over the world turned the conflict into a news propaganda war.